Let's get into the operator bans and see what comes through. I'd love to see a Valkyrie ban coming out here, I think. On this map, one, you can warrant it, and two, we've seen G2 playing it pretty much every single round it's available throughout the series. If it isn't 3 bulletproof cameras, it's a Valkyrie, it's a Maestro. We even saw a Pulse get thrown in the mix as well. It is clear they are relying so heavily on a utility game that I'd like to see NAVI take some of that away from them.
We're going to have the Thatcher ban coming in. We've not actually seen Thatcher, banned out in every map so far today.
Thatcher Maverick Kaid, I reckon?
He's been available. It's the first time we're going to see him banned out, and we're going to have Maverick come in. No surprises there. Like you say, maybe the Kaid, maybe the Valkyrie as our two remaining.
You have to ban Kaid here.
You
One
really
team has got to ban it.
You would expect it once the Maverick has been taken out. Otherwise, you've got very little option. Now, then Wamai is going to be the first ban. G2 taking, Navi taking that
Did
one out.
G2 play into it and keep it?
This is it. I mean, you could
Surely
leave,
not.
if you leave the Kaid. The problem is the reason that we're talking so much about the Kaid is if you leave the Kaid in now, you're going to find it very, very difficult to open those hatches. You're going to have no verticals onto that bottom floor attack because you put the bandit goes instead. So now you're going to play the Kaid. You're going to play it onto the hatches. You've got no way of really opening those. The kitchen one, arguably, you can do with an exothermic charge because it's on a soft surface. You can put an exothermic charge on the soft surface just to the side of the hatch, and it will open the hatch. The explosion is sufficient to do it, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to leave motor hatch more than likely closed, stock hatch more than likely closed, into blue more than likely closed. It's not going to be easy. I reckon floor attack.
We are in for an explosive game of Clubhouse. On the sheer basis of you are just going to have to brute force your way through some of these defenses when the Kaid is present. Let's keep a close eye on it though, see if we get anything crazy like a Kali coming out at some point. I doubt we will, but it'll be interesting to see. And sure enough, that Valkyrie is going to continue getting picked, given it is available citizen, stepping across onto that. But I'm just looking at this lineup coming out for G2 here, Tim, and just thinking, my God, that is one dug-in team. You've got the Mira, you've got the Kaid, you've of course got the ADSs to play behind, you've got the smoke, and a little bit of supporting information for them as well. This is going to be a very hunkered down, fortified G2 that NAVI, I think, may struggle to crack.
And I think absolutely nobody is going to be surprised that we start out round one down on Church and Arsenal with Kaid being played by Jonker. It'll be interesting to just keep an eye and see exactly where those electroclaws go. As I say, the kitchen hatch can be dealt with without. Secretly has the thermite. So one electroclaw is going to be placed there on the bar down to motor hatch. They have put one on that kitchen hatch, which, like I say, it can be dealt with differently. Of course, there are alternatives to dealing with the Kaid electroclaws as well. They could bring a Twitch along, for example. They haven't chosen to do that, but that's another option. Or alternatively, where it's a soft floor like this, you don't necessarily need to risk sending thermite in and putting the charge down. You could shoot out some of the floor, you could sledge out some of the floor, and you could send a nade through that's going to clear the electroclaw off. But it's not as easy, it's not as fast, and it's not as reliable.
It consumes more time, and I think when both teams throughout this series have struggled at points with the clock, then, well, we'll see exactly just how much impact it can have. And Hungry being injured early is not really the play. I know you've got a Vector and it shoots pretty damn fast, but it doesn't guarantee you a kill. He's going to get himself taken out. Virtue for the trade, swings for the window, but Nath swings for the hills. Finds him back in response. And for NAVI, well, that's a great way to crack open this eggshell, is to find yourself 2 early kills.
Not a bad start for NAVI at all there. Losing your entry in Doki on the Iana. Yes, they've lost 2 nades, but it's not the end of the world. You would trade those for those 2 kills. 4 versus 3, and immediate pressure onto that bottom floor, because the other thing that's done, Des, is it's allowed NAVI to be pretty confident that there's not going to be anybody from G2 playing around the map. They know with only 3 members left, they're likely to be down there turtled on that bottom floor. So now they've got an absolute age to build this attack down onto the bottom floor. They're going to open up the verticals. They're going to open up the hatches that they can do. They're going to make it an absolute nightmare for those defenders to stay safe inside of sight.
Probably got some questions around why Citizen spent some time there sat on a camera when you've got two dead players, who can sit there and watch those for you. Lack of trust, or just opting himself to keep an eye on what's going on, I'm not quite sure. One of those black eyes being taken out does mean, though, they are a little bit restricted on the information gain that they can play behind. And I know we focused a lot on G2's drone work and how much they were losing drones. I want to give some credit where it's due. Until just a few seconds ago, NAVI still had 9 drones up with about 65 seconds to play. Really good drone conservation so far.
Right, we've got the kitchen hatch dealt with. The electrical ore was found and removed, so that is going to be step one done in terms of getting to a point of finally executing onto this. NAVI all stacking up on that kitchen side, so likely going to try the hatch drop and get a diffuser just in the default spot, maybe around the bomb chassis or anywhere along that wall. Now secretly just taking shots through the soft wall, and I tell you what, not a million miles away from Citizen there, who holds his angle, waiting for this challenge. In goes the utility. Citizen knows the drop is coming, shut down by secretly on the reverse angle though, and Nath, he's in, he's getting that diffuser down. Kayak shut down, and NAVI are running all over them, Des, and that's round one on the attack to NAVI, and what a strong start from them on a map where G2 desperately should need defensive rounds.
Well, we spoke about the two dying very early inside of storage. You'll be asking questions there. Why are you committing two members to go so aggressive onto the window? I get it. You want to be cheeky. You want to shut down the entries from the side of NAVI and slow them down. Understandable. But if you're losing away a couple of C4s in the process, losing your mirror, for example, you'll be asking questions about how you recover in that 4 versus 3. Great round from NAVI, brute forcing their way through the kitchen hatch and get the first one on the board. First attack mark on their side.
Moving on to round number 2, then it's going to be up to the top floor of CCTV and cash room. This is where we might see a little bit of difference out of the defence. The Bandit has been banned out. It doesn't always get brought on this site. There are alternatives. The Mute has been brought along, so it's not going to be hugely different to what we normally see, and that is going to be that the attackers will likely open that East breach pretty quickly, because the Mute Jammers, they don't defend the whole wall anymore, so it should be fairly straightforward for them. Now then, the defensive garage is going to be the particularly important part. It's a discussion that I've had on Twitter and other places recently over and over about why it's important, and G2 are hopefully going to show us exactly why. It's such a power position. From that catwalk, you can challenge from the rotation hall they've opened all the way into the cash room. You can try and challenge onto the construction plant if they open that wall and try and get through. You can challenge onto a window plant. They can't think about planting on the server stack until they've got you cleared out a garage. So there is so much that can be done from that garage catwalk, and the attackers need to get in there and clear it out.
Citizen trying to get a bit cheeky potentially and run out there trying to hope someone be caught coming out of kennels, but not to be the case. Backs his way straight back upstairs and onto site, likely to sit here at the top of red and provide that cover that you so often see from this position. On the other side for the attackers, yes, you're looking towards what the focus is going to be on them opening things up. Are they worried about getting garage open? Do they just want to come in from the construction side? It's what NAVI used to do a long time back now. Things definitely have moved on since then, both in terms of the team and the meta, but they are a team that would often look to push in from the west side and the east side and basically forego getting into garage altogether. I think here they might want to try and force Kayak out, otherwise he's got this lovely long angle where he can contest onto the breach. They've got Citizen sat on site itself, Hungry contesting at the top of red, some nasty crossfires being set up by G2.
That's it, they've absolutely got to deal with Kayak. He's got 2 ADSs to support him. I believe the electricals are also electrifying the external garage walls, making it difficult for those to be breached, and the reason is you don't want somebody coming underneath you able to throw those explosives up onto the catwalk essentially for free where you can't make a challenge. So Kayak going to hold on to that position for as long as possible. NAVI have opted to push themselves round into construction. 2 men there are looking to contest from that side instead, one of them being Doki, but unable to find a kill as of yet. Halfway into the round, and G2, they're looking pretty good at the minute. They've got themselves just hunkered down, Virtue playing underneath, so it makes it a little bit safer for Jonker to be playing inside of CCTV there. The support is now coming in from NAVI to try and get into construction in numbers, but still not too much progress. But as I say that, an opening kill comes in onto Citizen.
And they're in here getting this wall opened up from the west side, so bailing entirely on the east, going for what I thought they might, which was this push out towards construction side. Turns out, old habits die hard if you're on the NAVI side. But G2 yet really not made to move away from these critical positions. They've got one playing on the downstairs, I think, as well, potentially with a C4 in hand. Yes, they're down at least a man, but right now I'd say G2 are in pretty comfortable positions and just need to wait for NAVI to make the next move.
Exactly that. You can expect NAVI to lose men, and Hungry, he takes the head off Blur exactly as I say that. Nath tries to get aggressive, successfully so, taking down the Maestro, able to now think about getting that diffuser down, but there comes Virtue from underneath, never dealt with, or certainly not quick enough, but then secretly Doki turn it around, and we have another one of these rounds between these two teams that just flip-flops between who is in charge.
You're seeing how much it means to Doki to see these rounds being won as well. If you didn't catch him at the round end then, next time they win a round, hopefully round 3 for NAVI, keep an eye on how much he's celebrating every single round win as well. Again, you're together, you're in boot camp, lots of ability to fist bump each other and build that energy up. And that was a great round overall because, again, they were denied from getting the most arguably critical wall in the game open, the site wall inside of CC. So what do? Rotate over, push from below at the same time as they're going through the west window inside of CC and also pushing through the cash wall. So there are still 3 points of entry that NAVI are playing behind there. They left G2 a little bit uncoordinated. Really good execute where G2 just couldn't quite scramble together in time. They're going to go back downstairs in the basement here, of course, with that option, given they lost both of the first 2 rounds.
Yep, good play from NAVI so far, recognising what G2 are doing on the defence and picking it apart relatively easily. It was a late rush there that got them over the line, but every time G2 came back into that last round, and this is what I like from NAVI, every time G2 did something, so Virtue pushed up red stairs, for example, gets himself a good kill, denies the diffuser going down, there's an answer there immediately from NAVI. They're right on top of it, and every time that G2 made a move, NAVI had a counter move and were ready for it, and that is looking like things might continue in the same fashion. Now then, G2, they need to not throw away a player early in the round this time. If we remember, Hungry last time straight away on the mirror, blue window, taken down, and it really didn't set them up because Virtue went in there to try and protect him, lost his life as well, and they were just on the back foot.
I agree with you, and I think G2 do as well, because they're not playing on the mirror here, they're playing on the Maestro. Now, in an ideal world, you don't want to be getting your Maestro killed early. Yes, he's got a wonderful big gun in the way of the Alder, but he's not the man to be taking fights like that early on. You want to be using those evil eyes throughout the round, and of course, if the Maestro dies, they're not going to be all that much more useful to you than just a bulletproof camera, for example, so you lose a lot of value. So I think with him being more dug back on this operator, you won't see the early challenge from him. Really, you're looking towards Virtue, maybe Citizen to go for that. The others, though, want to sit a little bit deeper. Saves has got himself into a wonderful position. If he carries on here, might find himself a kill or 2 on the straight push through. I don't think G2 will expect him to be at the bottom of main stairs inside about 45 seconds.
That's the key. They're just going to be completely unaware, more than likely, that he's there, and what they think could be an innocent rotate might just actually be the death of them here, as Saves is just going to hold the angle onto the double door of Church for the time being. You can see just ahead of him that Blur on the sledge is absolutely going to town up there. He's opening up almost every inch of this floor to try and give angles and force those defenders to move wherever possible to allow Saves to catch them out. But that air jab is crucial for G2 because it's going to signal Saves' position at the bottom of main. There is a man inside of Moto who should have heard and recognised where that came from, and now Saves less likely to catch somebody out.
He's a busy boy with all the swinging in his hammer. He might actually run through all the swings of the hammer that you potentially get, down to about 7 left here on the sledge. But yeah, much of this top floor is going to be just, well, first floor is going to be destroyed away. Burning their way through both the Banshee and the Electro Claw at the same time can get this hatch open. And I don't know about you, Tim, but it's starting to feel a lot like round 1.
It's feeling very, very similar. The thing that G2 have got going for them, I was going to say, is man count, that they've not lost those opening kills. But as I say that, 2 come in, Des, and it's 5 versus 3 again. Doki, Nath managing to light a fire under this round, and it's now NAVI in command once again on the attack of Clubhouse. They are primed, they're ready, they're positioned, looking for that kitchen hatch drop, and secretly manages to just tickle the heels of Jonker there and take a chunk of damage off him. And it's down to 35 seconds. NAVI, they need to think about the drop.
They do. Looking towards the kitchen one again, potentially also pushing him down the backside as well. Step out, and it's going to be a freebie coming in for Jonker, but we saw this coming out of Citizen before, who then died just after. If they can find this kill and breach their way through, it's still a 4 versus 3. Secretly finding another into a 4 versus 2 again. Secretly makes it 2, makes it 3. Going absolutely massive on his drop down through blue, cleaning house with a closing 3K. Big round for NAVI once again, and G2, they just have no idea where NAVI are coming from yet again.
NAVI absolutely starting to run away with this. We're in danger of seeing this become a real stomp here, Des. 3-0, G2 unaimed phase. You know, like you say, you're backing yourselves into a corner and you're just trying to absorb 2.5 minutes of pressure. By the time that NAVI have taken 30 seconds to recognise that, drawn out, yep, that's how it is, in we go. And you're trying to absorb so much. Like you say, maybe get Citizen out there on the roam, let him do what he's good at, get Virtue out there with them, get them 2 firing again, pick up a couple of kills on the flank, put that confidence up through the roof, put the wind up NAVI, don't let them feel comfortable and settled, because right now they're running all over you and it's likely to continue if you don't change up your style of play. Gym and bedroom we go to next. It's going to be all about the east side. That's where G2 are going to have their main defence. NAVI, not too much of an opportunity to play from below or anything else like that here. So they're going to look to get themselves into cash and CC. G2 need to hold on to that, because if NAVI get themselves on the windows, if they get themselves in construction, it's going to be a tough round again for G2.
It's interesting because I recall G2 against BDS had a brilliant game against BDS here. It ended 6-6. It was a fantastic game. If you want to go back and watch it later, I fully encourage you to do so. But what Virtue would be playing on this site normally is a mirror. He'd always put one inside logistics, looking down into construction to stop the attackers from coming in from the east side and sweeping their way in. Would then have one facing out towards the west side breach too. But here, there is no mirror. They're instead leaning in towards some different picks. They've got things like the Frost. They've got the Aruni on side, and the Aruni is dead. Kayak being picked off. Not even a problem, not a single point of damage dealt to the Na'Vi side, but it's just a small obstacle in their way there, not even a threat.
Those laser gates should already have been deployed.
The what, Tim?
I did it just for you, Des.
Thanks,
I put a bit extra on that one. I put a bit of spice on it.
A bit of whiz on the back of it.
Just seeing as it was going to be the last one of 2021, I thought I'd give it a bit for you, give it some beans.
Going to be the last one. There'll be a few more on this map yet, Tim.
So the laser gate's already deployed by Kayak there. So it's not a loss of utility necessarily, but it is a loss of manpower. It is a loss of just an ability to hold on to part of the map, and that is what NAVI have done so well so far, has been to take that real estate away from G2, and the process continues. We're a minute in, and they are getting themselves established towards being inside of cash, inside of CCTV, looking to push on towards cash. It's not going to be long until they've got this cleared out. Out comes the nade. There you go. It was less a fraction of a second before they had it cleared out. Hungry Virtue go down, and it is NAVI right now, 5-2, and just running away with this. This is men against boys, Des.
It's feeling like it, isn't it? And the painful thing is, G2 are doing what we asked for. They're getting out on the roam, but it's not the roam game you need. They're playing by themselves. Kayak inside of a CC, was completely alone, taken out without any response. Then you've got Hungry, sat alone inside a cache, taken out without any response. G2 just are not punishing NAVI and making them pay for the fights they're taking. They're just saying, look, we'll stand here for free. It's like knocking down skittles at a bowling alley. It's a 4 versus 2, and G2, where do you go next? Do you try bar on stage? Because every other site has crumbled before NAVI.
The thing is, like you said, I think they had the right idea here. We need to get out on the roam a little bit more. I just don't think it was the site for it, really, Des. You know, how much of an impact do you realistically normally have on the roam from this site? You know, you don't. You can play somebody underneath, maybe, that can look for a plant denial, but Citizen goes down, and this round is running away quickly. Jonker's doing everything he can here, gets it back to a 2v3, but whilst he picks his man up, the diffuser's going down. NAVI are just going to back off and play angles now. It's over for G2. Very little chance that they win this round.
All they've got to do is sit and wait here. If they can clutch it back, it'll be absolutely mega, but it's all on Jonker by himself here at the top of main stairs, and they know exactly where he is. Now those shots have come out, they hold the angle, secretly gets the shutdown. Another comfortable round for NAVI. And again, that was when G2 had just had their tactical timeout. That's when they had a discussion around what needs to change. We need to get more aggressive, get out on the roam, give them something to think about, and even that has failed. So where do you go from here, Tim?
Honestly, I think you double down and you do the same thing, except you do it in a more appropriate site.
Five people on the roam. Go.
No, not that far, Des. Not that far.
Double down.
Church and Arsenal is the better site for it. Get some players up on top floor. Like you said a couple of rounds ago, mix it up. Like I said, you know, those roamers aren't necessarily going to have the most impact on gym and bedroom, because the push is going to come through CCTV and cache, and then it's going to come directly onto site, which is exactly what NAVI did. Where do you hurt them on a roam from there? You can maybe push somebody underneath, get them into garage, maybe a red stairs flank late in the round, but it's not too often that we see that sort of success from the roam. You're going to have much more joy downstairs, Church and Arsenal. Get out into the map, mix it up, make it difficult for NAVI, force them to waste time clearing that entire map out.
See, I like what I'm seeing in this round, at least, already. We've got Citizen up on the top floor. There are Valkyrie cameras on main stairs. They're reinforcing Jacuzzi wall. Likely might rotate over here and try and go for some reinforcements out towards cache side as well. So likely more of a commitment towards roaming. Looking really towards Jonker here. You're looking maybe at Citizen. Maybe you'll see Virtue also out on the roam as well. The three of them out there with the ability to rotate back down to site. Sure, it's not Mute Mozzie Vigil, the real hard SSG roam where you look to deny as much information as you can, but it's getting out in the map and again giving problems for NAVI to try and solve better.
Here we go then. G2 getting themselves, they're not even going to reinforce the bar hatch this time, and that tells us exactly what the sort of plan is here, and that is to hold on to things for as long as possible, maybe drop those players back later in the round and give them quick access to the basement. Citizen looks to get aggressive. This is what we want, G2. You got to roll the dice. You're 4-0 down. You got to take some chances. Out goes the Valkyrie Cam. Unfortunate there. He's just got it down behind the corrugated iron wall, so it's going to make him difficult to see if anybody's pushing into Kitchen, but Virtue, he manages to get an opener onto Doki this time, saves, trades it back for Navi with one onto Hungry, gets himself a second onto Citizen, and it doesn't matter, Des, we're seeing the roam, but we're seeing Navi able to step up to that challenge and answer it, but they haven't dealt with Virtue up on the top floor yet. Can he get himself a third? He's challenging onto the hot to wall, he sees his man, and that's 3! Great round from Virtue so far.
3k on the roam, that's what you want to see, right? This actually being effective and shutting Navi down before they get to the site. Who would have known? Navi may be a little bit scattered here. Nath with no idea that Yonka was going to swing in from Gash, and another close down. A 3 versus 1. It looks like finally the Navi onslaught will be ground to a halt, as I don't see Saves winning this one out, even though he's got 100 seconds to still play within this round, Tim.
Plenty of time to go. He can be patient. They know where he's coming from now, though, and at 3 versus 1, he's likely to find himself challenged at some point. He's just going to send the flashbang in, make sure no pressure's coming, use the drones, see what information he can gather. But ultimately, G2, they are settled at this point. Players in blue, players in Arsenal, they're going to make it very, very difficult. All they need to do is establish themselves a crossfire here. So even if Saves does get one, he's then going to lose his life. And Kayak just smoking out that corridor, preventing any progress from the Nomad in that direction at least. So they know for a time being that they just need to watch the angles into blue. And I think at this point G2 are going to have a very good idea that Saves is pushing in from the Moto direction.
They have an idea as to where he is. They know the drones come in as well, so there's more. Oh, that's so unfortunate of the air jab out there as well. He's layering them down. But G2 should be able to take these out quite comfortably. There's 2 hanging inside of blue. I'm not sure even where's. Finds one. Can he swing for the next? No, he cannot. G2 will finally get themselves around on the board, but it's still a long climb to the top, unfortunately, Ace.
It's no surprise, Des, as I said, that when they move to a more appropriate site, the aggression and the roam game pays off. Virtue picking up a whole bunch of kills up there on the top floor, 3 to kick them off, and it really put G2 in the driving seat. And as I say, it's just about bringing the aggression and the roam, yes, but bringing it on the correct sites and at the correct time, and G2 were able to do that there. They're moving on to bar and stage for their final defence. Could be an interesting one, because they're going to need to keep hold of top floor, so it is a slightly more aggressive defence again, which might play into what they've just had success with.
Again, it's where you might sometimes see a mirror, and I imagine if Navi defend this site in the second half on their defence, you will see them employ the mirror for the top floor a few times. But let's take a look at what we do have here coming out from G2. I was really hopeful we'd see it, and I'm glad that we are. Kayak on that Echo. We've seen the Yokais be so disruptive before, on this site especially. And in a game where him and Citizen are having a pretty torrid time, both 0 and 5, bringing that information gain to the team is never going to be a bad thing. Just want to make sure that Kayak tucks himself away somewhere, keeps himself alive, and has a big impact. And keep an eye on where those castle barricades go down as well, because I fully expect they will be dotted around this ground floor just to help make sure they can lock it down, contest it from the, for example, main stairs, but also have a man or two playing on site itself.
I love seeing new sites played. We've not seen bar and stage too many times. I think you and I casting it, we've maybe seen it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And I love seeing them come through, because it's something fresh, it's innovation, it's, you know, what a team's going to bring. And at this early stage, they do things a little bit differently each time. They're tweaking it all the time as they go, and just trying to find that sort of, you know, the meta, the most effective tactic available to them on that site. And it's a real beauty to see. So let's see what G2 can bring to the table here. Jonka's playing quite aggressive up towards the stage there, looking to move out in towards lounge, maybe pressure them from that side of things.
You have no idea what you've just done, do you?
What?
You have no idea.
What?
I can't believe you. You said meta.
I know I did it on purpose.
Yeah, and
of course I have an
me
idea.
and Fresh immediately looked at each other, and he's just there with his middle finger up at me the whole time.
Of course I have an idea. I know that I've done that.
Thanks, Tim.
There's lots of people listening who might hear us say meta all the time and think, what are you on about? Well, there they go. They know it's an acronym.
It's not an acronym. It's not.
I know that you like to argue it's not, but...
It's not. The meta game doesn't mean the most effective tactic available game, does it? It's a whole word in itself.
Well, no, but meta game is a different thing to meta, isn't it?
Well, no.
'Cause that's 2 words.
There's 2 ways of using meta here. One is an acronym, one is
Well, exactly.
words.
There's 2 different ways, and I've just explained one of them.
Hate it.
On you go,
Honestly,
Des. On you go.
I am so glad
I think we can both agree that I've just explained one of them correctly. On you go. Merry Christmas, Des.
Cheers, mate.
Blur going to be drawn in through construction as Na'Vi try to get this attack going. They've got themselves an opening kill onto Jonker. They are attacking onto bar and stage this time around, and they are looking to get that top floor control. So they're going to move in, cache, CCTV, as they did for gym and bedroom, and try and make sure that they've cleared out above, because it's very difficult to get a plant down. The only place you can realistically think about planting without top floor control is exactly where our wonderful observer is showing us. You can just get in through the breach there, get it down on stage, and that is difficult to watch from above. But anywhere deeper into sight, a little bit of a nightmare. So Na'Vi, they need to go in and just try to clear this out a little bit more so they've got those options.
Look a little bit pressed so far, don't they, Na'Vi? Despite getting that entry kill earlier on, having the numbers advantage, they're still trying to get control of this top floor. They're still thinking about what the execute looks like on site itself, and they've got to do all this inside about 40 seconds. I get a feeling they're slowly running the clock down here, Tim, and just won't have enough time to pull off a good execute. Saves is working his way in from the west. He could be massive because there are 2 or 3 G2 players hanging around main stairs. If he comes up behind them and shuts them out the game, this could be beautiful.
Certainly could be. Now then, Saves, he's looking to move around through bar here. He's got 2 castle barricades to deal with. He's going to start trying to knock this one out, but Virtue's there. He's going to know this is coming. If Virtue has a nitro in hand, he could well play this on the castle barricade. Sometimes you can get caught out from the rear side, but secretly tries to move in. Kayak, however, shuts him down, but the diffuser's going down. Nath has managed to get himself inside a sight. 1 down for G2, leaves them in an effective 2 versus 4, 2 versus 3. This is just a bloodbath as Dorky comes down the main stairs. Somehow he has been allowed in through the back door. Citizen, he manages to get a kill onto Blur, but it is almost certainly too little too late from the Valkyrie as below half health. He tries to make that final challenge. He has to use a nitro to give himself options to take out that castle barricade, to put the threat onto Na'Vi's flank, but it doesn't matter what threat Citizen makes because Saves has got the final kill, and Na'Vi go 5-1 in the first half.
I think they saw that as a little bit of an alternative defense of that site because they had the Echo playing inside of the kitchen doorway, they had the Mozzie playing inside a bathroom, Slash around the bottom of main stairs. It was just a very... Normally where you'd see 1 player on the ground floor, you'd have 2 or 3 playing upstairs. And maybe that was what took Na'Vi a while, was identifying, what control do we actually need? But those 2 poor main players in the kitchen hallway, poor sods, got pushed from out towards the east,
tough.
got pushed from the toilet, got pushed from main stairs. 3 players of Na'Vi just descending on them, whilst the other 2 worried about getting the plant down with the full distraction in effect. Really well played by Na'Vi, and that is a round that is definitely worth watching back.
We often talk about these multifaceted, multi-directional attacks, Des, and they are so commonly the most powerful attacks that we see inside of this game, because as I've said so many times, and we're looking at Church and Arsenal now, it's a great example of multi-angled attacks. You want pressure from multiple directions, because otherwise, what can defenders do? Imagine yourself in a game, you're stood there, you've got a couple of you in Church, a couple of you in Arsenal, and the calls are all coming from Moto, Hatch and main stairs. What do? Everybody is facing up in the same direction. You've got your gunfire ready to go. You've got your crossfires. You are locked down on those angles. You're not even thinking about dirt. You're not even thinking about blue because you know nobody's coming from there. And it's the easiest defense in the world. Whereas when you get that call, we've got a man in blue, we've got a man in dirt tunnel, all of a sudden you're turning around, you're checking different angles, you're spinning on the spot, trying to make sure you've got it all locked down. And that's why those multi-directional attacks are so good. And we've just seen it there. There was absolutely nothing that those 2 G2 players could do sat at the bottom of main stairs. There was no challenge they could make. They were losing their life no matter where they looked.
Really well played by Na'Vi. Just even think about the drop from secretly into blue in the earlier rounds, 3k from there, just constantly giving G2 a surprise at the time you least desire it, which is at the round execute, and towards the final few seconds, it never gets pretty from there for the team that is unaware of what's going on. Anyway, Na'Vi step onto the defensive side. It's 5-1. Fair to say, They are on course for a win here, unless this now goes categorically wrong. And looking towards Hungary, the Swiss Army knife of G2 is stepping across onto the Capitale. I said at the start of the day, you'll see him play things like the Lion, the Ying, the Monty, the Flores, the Capitale. Here you're getting another flavour of that in this series. I think we've seen him probably play at least 7 or 8 different operators. He's been on Zofia as well. Just always keeping it fresh with something new coming along to the team, which I think is quite a nice perk to have for the team.
Yeah, and G2 are very good with Capitale. We've even seen Capitale banned out against G2 as a target ban effectively, because they are very, very good with the operator. So we'll see if they can put him to use here on this one. Now, they've, again, like NAVI, been allowed very quick and easy access into that middle floor, so they're starting to build pressure onto site already. NAVI trying to go for that turtle defence, doing a step better than G2 though, Des. They get the opener. Blur with a nice nitro onto Virtue. That's the sledge gone, and that could be really important for this round because it's going to reduce the vertical pressure.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a good start once again. NAVI, the number of times they've been in a 5 versus 4, it feels a little bit ludicrous. However, it is just one that they found onto their side. They're destined, or dying, I should say, to try and keep this hatch closed up. But now with the nade rolling in, it will ensure this is opened up. That one coming in from main stairs, I believe. And now in a position where Moto has been opened up. So a few different angles now available to G2 to go for an execute down. NAVI back in round 1, just strong on their way in through the kitchen hatch. The big question for me is going to be if they try and do the same. The Iana Gemini getting in for free here and able to get a little bit of information before finally getting taken out. They've got about 30 seconds to play before they've got to pull the trigger, Tim, but I'm imagining it will come a little bit quicker than that.
They're definitely stacking up for it here. Kayak has diffuser in hand. I think they're just hopeful of maybe getting a kill before they have to go in. They are a man down in terms of manpower, so they need to be careful here because NAVI have got the angles. Blur, he's just waiting. He's ready to pounce here, Des. He knows that the man is there. He makes the challenge, but Citizen rips the opportunity away from him, and Kayak goes in, able to start getting that diffuser down. Citizen knows there's one inside the dirt. Here comes the challenge, and he finds him. That's 2 for Citizen and a successful plant. Hungry finds saves, and the fight back is on from NAVI, but it's going to be too little here. Doki, he manages to get one onto Citizen, but he's got to find 3 more. He's got them above him. He's got them down there with him. He brings it back to 1v2, but surely this is too much to do.
So, I mean, he's got to push up vertically here as well because they can afford to just play hyper passive. They've got drones on this. They know what's going on. There's no real reason to panic on the side of G2. It is through this wall here. He needs to try and find himself a kill. Knows he's got to push up, but it's simply not going to happen here, I'm afraid, my man. Tries to go for a long arm. Can he get this defuse off? I don't think he can. Might be a little bit too weird, this one. I mean, you can look at it all you like, Doki. It's not going to change anything, and they were there just expecting the long arm. Anyway, a good closeout from G2, and the game continues.
I love the subtle adjustments from Doki there, just trying to get that diffuse animation to pop up. We've seen it so many times, you know, where you just blast a hole in the wall with the shotgun. It's one of my favourite things about Siege.
You shouldn't be dying second in the round on the Hibana. You shouldn't be whiffing that 1 versus 1 that you've taken. It was Blur who did the whiff in that round. But I was watching Nath for the entirety of that execute thinking, you have a C4 in back pocket. You know they want to drop kitchen. They've got 2 or 3 bodies around there. You already seen them trying to position around that area. You know Blur has just died there. There's a smoke down. Chuck a C4 in there. Pull the trigger. Hope for the best. But there was just no attempt on his side, I think, to get in a position to do that. He died without getting anything back on his side. The C4 was still in back pocket. So I had some question marks there around, you know, what was his ambition in that round? What was it he was looking to do? Because sadly, it just wasn't very effective.
See if they can have a better effect here in round number 8. NAVI are going to take us to a different site. They're not going to double down in Church and Arsenal. They're going to bring us up to the top floor of CCTV and Cash. Doki just deploying the ADS there. Pretty similar positioning to that we saw used by G2. I think just making it a little bit more difficult to take, you know, multiple out at the same time. You're going to get coverage for projectiles coming in from the breach as well that way, so just giving you a little bit more sort of widespread protection.
I said that on a couple of sites from NAVI, you might see the mirror coming out. Didn't know if I'd really expect it here on Cash and CC, but sure enough, Blur has picked it. It is being brought along for the action. One being placed at top red, and the second one, I'd be curious to see where it goes down. He could just double up and put both on this wall if you really wanted to, but it never really feels the most efficient. Could look for one on the Cash wall, could look to go and play a man inside of logistics and have a mirror window facing upwards. Those choices are, of course, available to him, but for now, at least, one is staying in back pocket.
It is, the thing with mirror windows, Des,
Put it down, Blur, please.
The thing with mirror windows is that you can do more harm than good very, very easily. If they're not in a correct position, they can expose your team really, really quickly. So it's a lesson to learn for everybody at home playing ranked is just because you have 2 mirror windows, it doesn't mean you have to use them both. It could be that you've got one power position on a site that you want to hold on to. Now, fair enough, he's gone and put it on there to give that vision into construction for the remainder of the round. But like I said, it's just absolutely not essential. I tell you what, though, Dorky with a great headshot onto Virtue there to kick things off for NAVI.
That must have been... I don't know how, but they must have known about it. Whether someone's called that they've heard it or what, I don't know. But he kind of pre-fired before Virtue had even appeared there. Whether he was just going for the fadeaway shots on the assumption someone might run through and was then going to double back into construction, I don't know. But that was not reaction. That was a pre-fire of some kind.
Bottom garage going to be opened up then, just looking to make things a little bit more difficult for Saves and secretly to hold on to the garage here. Interesting that 2 players are out there on the catwalk looking to support each other. It's just showing, again, from NAVI, a respect of how important that location is. But now that G2 can get in underneath, they can start thinking about using those projectiles, getting them thrown up over the balcony. But Saves is going to make that difficult because he's playing round onto the short leg of catwalk, and he can then challenge underneath if they try to push in through that breach that they've just made.
It's kind of funny how Navi are stinging themselves with the Wamai ban here as well, knowing that G2 like the Capitao on this map. Hungry could easily burn someone out from inside of Rafters if he opts to play for it. Doki looking for a flank. No way does he get a double here. This could be absolutely massive. Sees one. Will he find the next? Yes, he does, and gets 2. The window being challenged.
He just couldn't get his pistol out quick enough.
Yonka just couldn't quite land the kill in time, and Doki has essentially won the round there for Navi. 2 huge kills in the middle of it all, and they're now left with just Hungry and Yonka, the new kids on the block, to pull off a bit of a Christmas miracle and keep G2 in this round.
As you said, Capitao just coming in there, the fire arrow doing the business, moving secretly, allowing Hungry to get the kill, but Saves is there with a trade onto Yonka, just meaning now that we are in a 3 versus 1. It's all up to Hungry. Half health on the Capitao, trying to use those asphyxiation arrows as best he can. Saves looking to style it out with the pistol here. Can't find his man, but does eventually. What about that? Just get into the fun part of the game now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's 6-2 now. You're starting to think it's probably lights out for G2, and Navi will be the ones who pull ahead and take 3rd place here in EUL for 2021. So I'd say the G2 aren't completely out of it, but 4 rounds back-to-back when you've only got 2 so far, feels like a bit of a stretch, Tim.
It's unlikely, and we're going to the famous NAVI bar stage defence.
Yes. This is what I was excited to see.
They are the pioneers of this site.
There's been a couple of interesting iterations of this site, to be fair. I mentioned their mirror play that we saw out of them last time they played this site. I looked towards Kavana, who play Sloth up there on the Thunderbird, for example, if you remember. Sat between the rotate, between gym and bedroom when you open the soft wall up and then just moves apart from there. Has been naded out from below a couple of times, but they will have very interesting setups overall. This one, I think, will be a bit more clear-cut. We've seen Doki down in basement with C4, for example, a mirror upstairs. Loads of things playing for them, and I'm very keen to see if they go for a similar thing, and more importantly, if G2 know how to crack it open. You've been able to see Navi several times in terms of what's going on. You should know how to counter this setup.
Interesting on the replay there. We could just see those bullets raining in from Jonker. I don't think he had the barricade open, so he couldn't see exactly where Doki was. And Doki just lucky to get away with it. The bullets all missing him, but managed to take his 2 kill, and in a different world he maybe gets 3 if he didn't have to go for the reload or the flip to the secondary, but Jonker was able to shut him down, but the damage was done at that point. Moving into the potential final round here, as we are 6-2 to NAVI. It's map point for the next 4 rounds. NAVI going to take us to Barton stage. Would expect to see that top floor hold. As we said, Virtue taking a lot of damage, but manages to get Doki on that opener.
Beautiful start. I mean, if Doki had got that kill onto Virtue, you lose away your sledge, a lot of your vertical destruction disappears. You'll be feeling that one. Hungry onto Finker, something I haven't seen him on a whole ton before, to be fair. He's stepping across onto a pretty powerful operator. More nades being brought along, 6 in total. Of course, the extra juicing up here should be able to heal Virtue back up to health slowly. But it's about this top floor control. They've got to get Navi off the top floor, open things up, and then look in for their plant.
Certainly do. Virtue just continuing to try and get his angles to allow access in towards Cash Room. And you're going to use another angle to try and get through to construction. Drone coming out to try and gather the information exactly where Navi are playing up on the top floor here. He sees the mirror and he knows he may well come under a challenge, but for the time being nobody is playing on that location from the side of Navi, so if quick, G2 could potentially move into construction and take control of it here.
I'm a little worried that Doki being dead removes that C4 from the basement. If you remember, they'll have someone sat in moto with a C4 at the ready. They'll chuck it up when the plant execute comes through, and they'll find themselves a crucial kill. Without that available, they've only really got the top 4 to play on. So for G2, it presents an opportunity that you haven't got to worry about a player in basement. I imagine they'll probably have a drone down there regardless. Here we're about halfway through. They've still got 6 frag grenades on side to play behind. Lots of utility still yet to come.
Shut down by Saves as he moves into the bedroom doorway and finds Virtue just sort of in no man's land a little bit inside of Cash there. Hadn't been able to move in and gain control over construction and really did get caught out there, allowing Navi to level up that opening kill that he'd gained onto Doki. 4 versus 4 now, and Navi holding on stalwartly here. G2, Yonka managed to get the breach open. The plant spot is now available to them, but there's a lot of work for G2 to do here because they've got no top floor control, Des.
Look at the man downstairs. Blur has taken Doki's position. In fact, Secretly's down here as well. They've got 2 players dropping down. The wall has been opened up. The hatches, for now at least, are closed, but he could shotgun that out, chuck a C4 up, and Blur could do untold damage. Instead, I think he's looking to get up oil here, get in towards Garage, and come for a flank into Lounge from there. But if he pulls this off, this could be absolutely mega. Yonka has got a flank cam on the go, but is it the right one?
Citizen manages to find a kill on 2 saves, but here comes Blur. This could be the big moment that we were talking about, Des. I don't think G2 are aware of this. There's nobody watching the angle. This could be an absolute freebie for him. He misses. Oh, he gets the kill. Unbelievable. Blur almost leaving it too late, but gets away with it. Shut down on the swing from Hungry. It's now 1v1. Hungry versus Nath. Hungry goes to get that diffuser down. 10 seconds left to go. He has to stick this, Des. Realistically, he can't take the challenge. Nath knows where he is from the red ping. He's going to go for the spray. He finds him through the soft wall. Absolutely beautiful from Nath to close out this game. Hungry, a valiant effort getting the diffuser down, but the Maestro had all the info, all the bullets, and Navi have all the glory as they take 3rd place away from G2.
What a fantastic match we've had there as well. You know, a really dominant Chalet from G2. Navi fighting back in the second map on Bank, and then look where we found ourselves on Club. Navi being absolutely dominant, it's fair to say. Good couple of rounds in the mix as well, but really, Navi the ones looking fully in control there. The flanks, everything else working in their favour massively. G2 not quite able to pull out the same.